Hello, hello. Welcome everybody. Welcome in. So today we're going to be doing a reading around relationships. Now, in mind, you can have this about friendships, about your family, about a loved one, just about romance in general. Whatever really calls to you when you're listening to the reading, or once you've picked your pile, like trusting that intuition of what card feels right to you, which pile's right for you. And yeah, some of the language that I might use will be around like partnerships, like maybe a romantic relationship. You can reword the language to suit the situation or whatever this reading means to you. Remember, you're a part of this reading. This isn't just me, you know, sending it all out there. It's really for you to interpret and feel what's right for you, and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Now, this is going to be set up in two parts. I'm going to do the first part will be what am I saying? The past, and we're going to go into the present. So we're going to talk about the past because there's learning and lessons from the past that maybe we need to remember that we've already gone through. We've probably gone through harder things than the things we think we're going to go through. That's generally how it goes. So there may be some messages in there in the past. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter, fewer amount of cards, and then we're going to change that up, clear the table, and then get into the present. It's going to also do the future. However, I'm not going to do the future because I feel like the future is in your hands. So it depends on what you take and what you do in the now, which really sets you up for whatever comes through in the future. And also when it comes to like love relationships, especially, it's always, more fun to have like surprises and not know the path exactly, not follow a story, just to enjoy the moments as they come along on the path, on the journey, let's say. Okay, I'll stop talking. We can get into it. I've gone back to an old deck that I have, which is crystal cards. So we're going to have a look at these and pick some piles for you. I hope that makes sense with how this is going to be run. All readings really are for you to be engaged with and to trust your own intuition as well with the messages that are coming through. Okay. All right, let's have a look. So for pile 1, you're choosing pile 1, you have the rose quartz with unconditional love, romance, nourishing, and soothing. For pile number 2, you have the aquamarine with water healing, compassion, speaking your truth, and compromise. Okay. And for pile 3, you have the clear quartz with psychic abilities, enhanced intuition, mental clarity, and magnified energy. All right, well, these will be your 3 piles for today. Down below in the description, you can jump straight to your video. Otherwise, I'll give you some time and you can tap into your intuition and see which pile or piles call to you today. Hello, hello, welcome to your reading. So, pile number 1, you've literally chosen the one that I thought would come out for this reading, and it was literally the first card. So, you've chosen the rose quartz. What a perfect card for romance, for love, for just generally the heart, high heart chakra. And yeah, anyway, the messages on here: unconditional love, romance, and nourishing. Nourishing, soothing. Okay, so there's a bit of sun gleaming through too, but I'm just going to leave it there because it's actually quite nice in the middle of winter, or you know, start of winter really, in the southern hemisphere. Okay, so this is going to be the first part, which is your past. There's going to be like lessons in learning. It's just information. So there's not too many cards that we're going to pull for this one. Probably a little bit more than in my head I thought I was going to pull, but I'm going to get the message out as cleanly as I can. The interesting thing about when I started this reading, a song came on, which is by Mia Raymer, and it's called The Witch. And The Witch talks, I mean, it has a lot of meaning in the song. It's really beautiful, but the message in the song is she is burnt alive. She's kind of goes off and kind of processes in the afterlife her life, you know, what happened and how it all kind of transpired. And then she comes back to cast a spell, and you would think, oh, like revenge, but this is like a clearing for all her all her like brothers and sisters who were also into magic, I guess you would say, or like, you know, into healing, and it's to help them move on. So it's a very interesting song, and quite deep, I guess you would say, when it comes to this reading, because we're talking about the past. So it's almost going back and looking upon it with not with anger or revenge, with just like an opportunity to heal and cleanse. So it's a very interesting song, very like emotional song to come through for your reading. But hey, here we are. You chose rose quartz. you get the goods. All right, so let's see what the past wants to say to you today. Yeah, they're coming through pretty cleanly. Because it's easy for me or anybody to just say, you know, clear and cleanse from the past of whatever's happened so you can move on, that kind of thing. But when we dive deep into it, there's still some kind of like hooks into certain things, and some of those hooks are fine. They're there to remind us of what we've been through so we can empower ourselves for whatever's to come. And sometimes it's there to kind of like hold on to something that's finished, and that's what may need to be looked at or cleansed or just remembered and reviewed, I guess, seen in a different light. Just gonna grab 2 from here, so we're just gonna grab an extra 6 cards, I'd say. The present one we'll go more deep into. All right, let's have a look at your cards. So you've got wild. I mean, this could be someone who is learning about themselves, learning who they are and what their gifts are, let's say, what makes them them. Just gonna quickly change the music. It's funny because I just changed it to the radio station and it's crazy, you know. Don't say I'm crazy. Who was that by? I can't remember. I'll remember it later. Anyway, and then we've picked the wild card. The music's really in tune with your reading today. So wild. What is the wild? It's that you know, that 21-year-old that leaves home, or 18-year-old leaves home and goes kind of like learning about life in general, about themselves, about relationships, all that kind of stuff. So it's like kind of that youthful energy, that youthful vibe, which isn't positive or negative. It's just is, right? It's just a getting out there and expanding, exploring. And then you've also got say what you mean. very interesting. I mean, I feel like everyone in the past in relationships has either dealt with someone who we've kind of picked up. I feel like if you're, I mean, this isn't just for women only, but just like if you're, you know, in tuned with your feminine energy, you do get a lot of cues, right? When you're in ego, a lot of those cues are stuff that we're projecting outwards. So we'll be thinking they're thinking this, but we're not actually. It's hard to like decipher, especially when you're like new or young or, you know, any of that kind of thing, or just still developing, which I think everyone's always developing, but you know what I mean. And I do like say what you mean. So potentially in a connection or having a conversation with like an adult or a family member who found it difficult to say exactly. You can say exactly what they mean. You can kind of see that in if you watch shows like Bridgerton, right? They will word things very kind of like they skirt around what they're trying to say. Like instead of going straight for the jugular, they'll say things kind of on the sly. And this is kind of like, is it on the sly? Maybe. Is it just not exactly what you meant, or you found it difficult to try to express exactly what you were trying to say or wanted to say? And it's hard because when you go through relationships, especially, sometimes you'll be completely open, but without actually understanding what that means to you. And other people can be put off by it. And then you start to change how you are. And then you turn into someone completely different. So it's kind of like you just, you know, you're always like learning and growing in the earlier kind of like youthful time. Potentially some mistakes and all that kind of made, right? Especially with Wild and Say What You Mean. I mean, that's just life, in my opinion. Give out the Tibetan Buddhist monk. That's really interesting. Listen to the wisdom of my heart. I feel like this is potentially something that, you know, without directly sitting and meditating, it's just like everything you kind of go through, even if it's like in the masculine, like going out, meeting people, you know, whatever, being out and trying to like action, instead of like knowing what your heart wants. Either way, you still get to the same result. It can be in a meditative state, it can be by going out and exploring. Both generally have lessons and learnings and, you know, that kind of stuff. So it looks like you've probably grown a lot over the years for what you are desiring or wanting out of connections, relationships with friends, those kind of things over the years, which is good. Mindfulness gets much easier when we start blending masculine and feminine energy in different parts of our practice, right? You can't just sit back and kind of watch everything and wait for something to happen, and you can't just keep pushing things that aren't ready. Can't force a relationship to occur with someone when you're not in the right place. It's I was watching a show recently, and these two were couples, right? Or they weren't a couple together, but they had partners, and they were just talking about it. And it's like, yeah, if I met my partner like earlier, it would have been disaster because I wasn't ready for it. And same with the other side. And so it's like they're not bad people. It's just not right timing for this one or that one or whatever, each side. So you'll find someone that is resonant when time's right, can't force it. So that's just an interesting thing coming back from here. Oh, I love this. And liberation. I honor my sacred temple, starting to potentially, especially here, it could have been toxic, let's say, some of the old connections, or maybe just the way we were, like you were, or like the other person, whoever, wasn't trying to be toxic necessarily. Some may have, but it feels like it was just, with this card coming through, high emotions, high, like everything running hot, everything running like high, especially with wild child. But this is liberation. This is about setting boundaries, breaking free out of perceived chains, that kind of thing. Yeah, and we've got the Princess of Pentacles coming through. The princesses in this deck, I mean, the pentacles are about earth, about material, about the external, and the princess's mastery over the element in this case would be earth, her connection with earth. And it's never going to be perfect when you're starting to practice, right? As the princess, she's learning her craft, she's studying, She's learning what external things are important, you know, like in another person, like looks, that kind of thing, or even if we're talking broader, like a house. Is it important to have a house, to own a house, that kind of thing? Or what kind of car, you know, is that important, the kind of car, that kind of thing. It's like, what are my intentions and what are my reasons for wanting what I want? I don't know if you went through those particular practices. If you did in the past, well, then, you know, great work. But those are probably through practice as well, because it looks like it's in the material world. So it's like going out and actually exploring this instead of within. But that's okay. You know, all paths lead to growth. Look at that. And then we've got the Queen of Pentacles coming through. I do like this because this is like sharing and giving. I get for potentially some people going through the practice of, oh, I found what I feel is the right person or the right kind of vibration, let's say, between two. And now I'm going to ensure that it works, like make sure it works by giving. So this is like also learning about the giving and taking for sure, because there's a lot of feminine energy here. So with the Queen and the Princess in the same suit. So there's definitely development and growth and knowing what works and where, you know, where the pieces of the puzzle fit, I guess. So it's an interesting one. This is like development, right? This is all development, it looks like from here. Okay, hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight or a snapshot of particular things from the past that may help with now. We're going to clear this and then I'll pull some more cards and we'll have a look at your present. Hello, welcome back, pile number one. So we're going to go starting through onto your present. Okay, so I've got a few more cards, a few more decks coming out today. Let me put that one there. Still Rose Quartz will sit in here for the remainder of your reading. And the song when I was shuffling the cards was, you know that song As It Was? It's kind of like touching on things changing, right? Nothing stays golden. Stuff from the past has changed. Like you can't go back, of course. And I do, it's like popping up with that wild card that came through in your past, and it's like you still have that vibe there. That doesn't mean you go and repeat the things that you've already gone through, right? You've already gone through what you've gone through. You don't need... Okay. These have been shuffled, so if that's a repeat card, maybe there's a purpose for that, but we'll see. Since that one flew out. Normally I don't take jumpers, but that one flew out and landed on the Rose Quartz, so I feel like I can't ignore that one. We'll take it. So, touching on present, whether you're looking for someone, not looking for someone, you know, this is really whatever you want to make of it. Sometimes this could assist with a relationship you're in now with the parent or with a partner. Could be because you want to have children. You know, take what resonates with this and utilize this message in a way that suits you best. It's going to be a very long video for me, but that's fine. I'm super interested with all these piles that have come up. Do you think I can squeeze another? Probably. Yeah. It's interesting because recently I've been doing some collective readings, and the collective reading was talking really to who are we? Who are you? What is your heart really calling to? It's like a looking in the mirror type time. And I guess I kind of matched with when I think we're past, or maybe we're still in Gemini, right? If you follow the, what do you call that, tropical system. So yeah, it's interesting. Okay, this one flipped out, so we'll keep it upright. Page of Pentacles, very similar to the Princess that came through in your last section. Everyone wants to leap out. I think we'll just take 2 from this one. That's probably enough. Okay, Page of Pentacles wanting to come out first, so we'll kind of touch on it. Page of Pentacles, learning, growth, look, building a family, building a house, wanting that kind of like that dream. It's interesting here though, because it doesn't look like this would be everybody's, right? This is out in the wild. This could be getting back in touch with nature, getting back in touch with your roots even. What's important? Is it the big house or is it like sustainable? And then why? Is it because I want like many rooms, or is it because I want to just connect back with the earth or with the environment? You know, have a place where I can grow my own food, grow things that I really feel are important, because there's a lot of like stuff out there, right? And we've gone through the years as humans getting used to pesticides and stuff in our water, and you know, food, hormone-filled food, and all sorts of stuff, right? It's not just like, oh yeah, it's a joke kind thing. These are things that are happening. So, you know, this could be an opportunity to get more in touch with what's important, I guess. And if we're talking about that in a relationship, that's like, what do you feel is important? What are you experiencing now that you want to continue? What are you experiencing now that you want to shift? Okay, I think I can move these back now since I only put 2. Okay. So you've got Goddess Bowen with Power, I Fill My Cup. Yeah, this is about you. It's almost like in the past, raising children. This isn't your story exactly, but this is the story that I'm kind of getting. It's like going in the past, thinking I needed to get married, raise children, do whatever, you know, do the quote unquote normal thing. And then you've gone through that. Kids are kind of like grown up or something like that, and then you've separated from your partner. This is just the story. I'm sorry if this doesn't resonate at all, but just listen to it. And you know, and then you've started to like look inward and go, what's important to me? And this, if that's where you are now, this is a great place to be, to learn what's important to you. You've gone through the learning of bits and pieces of who you are in a relationship, outside of relationship, but this is like, yes, that was me then. This is like, who am I now? Interesting. But I fill my cup. And that's 100% true. Relationships aren't there for the other person to fill your cup, right? You fill your own cup or know how that's filled. You're kind of more in a relationship to invite someone to experience life with, or you want to experience certain things with another person. That's how I kind of view it, in a very kind of bird's eye view kind of look at a relationship. Obviously, there's a lot of intricacies, and those intricacies are between you and your partner, you and your parents, you and your children, whatever, your friend. But that's what I see anyway. Interesting. How teachable are you? So this is how open are you to learning new ways? You know, the saying, can't teach an old dog new tricks. That is kind of like just a farce, I think. I think as you get older, sure, you get set in certain ways, but you also have more power over like what you can, or like you have more, you've learned a lot to be able to differentiate what is holding me back because it's like an old version of me, and what is actually helpful from the past, like lesson learned. I'm not going to go out with that red flag. Those kind of traits, those are red flags to me now, and I know it very well. So that's absolutely fine. Not talking about those, talking about the ones that are like, no, it's, you know, I already know what I want. I know who I am. I'm not doing anything. But if you're also on one hand saying that, not wanting anyone, but also wanting someone, then there's obviously a mismatch. So you got to be real as well with yourself. Courage. Oh, I like this for you. Interesting looking in the background, right? It's kind of like this facing fears, or facing something that's almost looking behind your back type thing. It's like the past wanting to keep tapping you on the shoulder. I feel like this one is still going forward into the unknown. It's an interesting relationship, like, you know, relationship type energy, but it is coming from you first. This is all about you building up your strength, tapping into the past to relive that strength energy. I'm just going to turn on the light very quickly. Okay. And yeah, stepping into power, you've got power and courage, kind of similar to, you know, it's like kind of Seven of Wands energy with the Strength card type energy. But I really like this. I fill my cup. I have to love me first before I can invite, you know, someone else. I think there was a saying, it's like, how I teach others to love me is how much I love myself type thing. And so if you don't love yourself, you're probably going to find people that will not love you, right? But they will have like, I don't know, that will kind of teach you the lesson to learn to love yourself, I guess, is the best way I can put it. Okay. Renewal, yeah, renew you, Buddhist. You've got renewal with renewal, literally again, a rhythm, healing, and rest. This is giving yourself space and time. Also got adventure, so yeah, you're still tapping into that wild energy, that the energy of who you were. You're not going to repeat that. You're just more tapping into the positive aspects that you want to bring into the now and getting yourself out there in a sense, making sure you are heard and you are recognized. Now, that can be done in many ways. That can be done by force. It can also be done by just being aware and mindful of others as well, and being like, you know, this is a you've crossed the boundary type thing. Doesn't mean you have to like smack them in the face about it, right? It's just like, it's a way of like being clear, being assertive, I guess, is the best way I can put it. This is laughter, perfect, spontaneous, nature, and renewal. It's interesting with more renewal, right? We've got renewal here. So it's like this refreshing revisor of your past self and the self when it comes to connections and relationships. Who you were to who you are is important, but there can also be like an amalgamation, I guess is the best word, like blending, alchemizing of the two, and lots of learning. So much lessons learned. I feel like part of your being here was hugely on your interpersonal relationships and your relationship with yourself, and it's still probably going to be part of your journey. Huge amount of learning. Okay. Kept coming up, so I need to like blurt it out. So I stop. So it stops. Six of Pentacles. I really like this Six of Pentacles, right? You know, part of the moon, kind of like the sun setting. Just looking at the interesting little rocks and things down here. Anyway, you know, traditionally this is about giving and taking, receiving, and you know, giving and receiving. So I feel like that's exactly part of it as well. This balance between what you give of yourself and what you not really hide, but it's a hard one to kind of word. How do I word it without sounding like you should hide any of yourself? Because I don't think you should hide any part of yourself, right? There's certain things that, you know, don't need to be talked about, of course, or that are none of anyone else's business, but certain parts of you that are important to you that you want to share, ensure that they come through in the way that you feel is self-honoring, and, you know, don't take anyone's kind of disrespect of that. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of like reaching a milestone. This renew and refresh has happened over and over. This like self-growth, this growth within external connections is really coming through. You also have the Three of Wands. I feel like being open to this next journey, if you're wanting to, when it comes through, you know, you've got renewal, which is rest and taking time. The Three of Wands knows when the time is right. No one's going to tell you what to do type thing. So ensure that if you are going to go on this, make sure you say, yes, I'm ready to start a new connection, start working on myself, start reconnecting with my parents or children or whatever, you know, if there's difficulties there. Because the Three of Wands knows when that time is, and they will trust themselves when they want to go out there. This is not about forcing it though. Even though it's Wands, which is fire, it's still not forced. The Three of Wands is can see the things in the background happening, they have a higher advantage, let's say, of right timing, and things will come in the right time. So take your time with it. If it doesn't, if like, let's say you're connecting with a, sorry about the light, so it's a bit bright outside, but if there's like a connection, if there's like a mismatch with a connection of like a mother and daughter, let's say, this is an example, and there's kind of contention there, then it's like if the first kind of contact doesn't go very well, that's okay. There's no point feeling bad about it or like fighting with them. It's just like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it for now, and take myself out of the situation so I don't get dragged into an old story, and give yourself some time and know that, you know, it's like the saying when you give someone green cards, which is kind of like you speak to someone how you expect to be spoken to, and they don't. They'll keep giving you red cards. Eventually, over time, they'll give you green cards, right? That doesn't mean you allow them to walk over you. When it gets to that point, you like, you know, you remove yourself out of the situation. You got to take the high road, I guess, as well in this one. It's an interesting one. This could be an internal kind of like mental type thing too, like you know, if you separated yourself to your body and your like spirit self, it's like having a conversation with your spirit self as well. I do like this. 3 of Cups, enjoyment, harmonizing, getting into balance. You know, we've got this 3 here, which is like knowing who you are just by themselves and knowing your worth and finding someone to flow with. This is someone who has like a really good connection. Generally, it's traditionally like the 3 women celebrating in the rain, right? They're just enjoying what the universe has on offer at this time, and I think that's a really good way of taking it too. But here you can see this masculine kind of feminine figure almost in a dance, almost in a in flow. She's even got like ballerina type shoes on, so it's kind of like being in balance and flowing with someone, finding someone that you can, it just comes naturally, let's say. Not everything will be easy, but just feels more natural. Oh wow, okay, last 2 cards are the 3 of Cups. Well, there's the 3 ladies. So it could also be like, while we're talking about flowing here, this one's a little bit more celebration and you know, a little bit more wild, let's say. So it is getting back into that wild energy, reconnecting with, you know, friends who maybe potentially haven't seen in a while, seeing if they can catch up. It could even be finding people that that have the same interests or beliefs in that you do, so you can start talking about the things that are really interesting to you, because it's always good to like learn lots of stuff, like learn, but it's hard when you don't have the right resonance of the person around you. If this is in like a love relationship, it could even be finding someone that you can really has the same, like similar interests, not exactly the same, but you know, has similar interests to you, that you can almost have like a friendship relationship with. No, we don't have to put labels on it, but you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be all romance. It can be like just that start off as friends, maybe goes to something, maybe doesn't, but just like that good person who you can have real conversations with. So there's a lot here. I don't know necessarily where to point the compass in this current situation when it comes to relationships. But your connections are obviously quite important, especially with self here. You know, it all comes back to filling your own cup, nourishing and nurturing yourself, and being open to it with the how teachable are you, ensuring that certain things from the past aren't just forgotten, they're kind of brought in. Who you were in the past is obviously different, but that doesn't mean that energy dies with that past person that comes through, and it's up to you to decide how you bring it through and in what areas of your life. We're talking about relationships, so I feel like, you know, connections, relationships, family, friends, romantic partner. Constant learning. There will always be learning. This kind of takes place of the Princess of Pentacles from this deck that came up in the past, and I like here, it's like, what's really important, what's truly important. Is it that ring on the finger? Is it that whatever else? I don't know, the house or the car or whatever. Probably going to be something that's really true to you. And it could be some of those things. It might be all of those things. That's okay. As long as you know what it is and what kind of feeling you're chasing or looking for out there. And understanding that is going to help you find what you're looking for. Like finding that success and what's important. So that's exactly what I see in your reading pile number 1. Really nice cards coming through. This is an interesting one. It's a lot of introspection coming through, but also finding that in the outside, but understanding that on the inside first. Okay, hopefully you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, welcome to your pile number 2. You have chosen Aquamarine. Water, healing, compassion, speaking of truth, and compromise. Look at this blueness. This is very much about your throat chakra. If you're like a manifester or manifesting generator, if you know your human design, it's like, boom, this part. Okay, so I'll move this actually down here. We are going to start with the past first, because there's always learnings and lessons from the past and growth opportunities from the past. So I'm going to pick some cards for that, and then after that, I'll clear the cards and we'll get into your future. Sorry, not future, your present. I'm not going to do the future because I really feel like that is for you to uncover, unfold, depending on your choices and decisions in the present. Okay, so this one won't be as in depth, but I feel like it will just tap into some stuff so we can get a good story. And then start to bring that into the present. The past teaches us many things as well. Cards are moving around over there by themselves. Just making sure they don't fall off. Okay. Past. So really nice crystals coming through for this relationship reading. I think they really match with what's going on or what needs to be said. I mean, we'll see, of course, but they're really nice cards regardless. Really nice crystals, I mean. Okay, let's take a look at your cards today, pile 2, sorry. So you've got family and tribe. Interesting. You've got patience as well. That's really interesting. This could come up in a few different ways. One of the ways that I'm getting is like, you know, the people around you or like your group was more important than anything else. It was just like me and my friends, me and my family, me and my parents, or whoever, you know, my group, my tribe, super important, which can be super helpful, especially if you're following a path that everyone kind of agrees on, right? But if you are like the black sheep, or you're the one that wants to like splice off into something different, that can be where contention is. So it's almost like waiting for the right time to make the move or make the shift or the change from the past. That's interesting. Another part that could be true as well is, oh, it vanished from my head because I talked on the other topic a little more than maybe I should have. But anywho, I'll leave that there. Family and tribe, it's kind of like bringing in to connections, relationships, friendships, what you've learned, right? It's reminding me of like, if you grew up kind of like with a lot of like aunties and uncles around, like I did, grew up with a lot of extended family around, not living in our house occasionally, but different things happening, right? But you know, in like a more communal group, you learn a lot from different experiences other people are going through. You kind of like sponge and absorb a lot of different things. So it's interesting, especially if you've moved and started to date outside of your, you know, culture, tribe, race, whatever. I don't really like talking about that because I feel like we're all kind of like one, right? But there are obviously differences when you go to different countries and you learn different languages and all sorts. Like it's very different out there. But you know, that's the whole fun of it all, right? Anyway. You also have Rose the Mystica right next to family and tribe. Yeah, that can be a lot of pressure, I feel, or you know, not wanting to repeat the past of what's happened to my grandmother or my great grandmother or something like that. You know, there's a light side to it, especially if it's been like a divorce. You don't want to do that. I don't think anyone gets in a relationship or married thinking that they're going to divorce, of course, but you know, that doesn't mean you're going to repeat it. There could be fear from repeating the past, or there could be like either not wanting to repeat something or just like not wanting to emulate, and that can mean we go the opposite end. So instead of finding a balance in the middle, it's like, you know, one could be like a very strict parent, and it's like, well, I had a very strict parent, they made sure I did everything, and whenever each time everything was kind of planned, it was too much. And on the opposite end, it's like too much freedom, right? No boundaries type thing. And then people like kids go off, go missing for a while and come back, and sometimes it's fine, and sometimes it could be risky and dangerous, right? Depending on the environment you live in. Look at that, 33 and 22. Interesting. And then you've got 20, 23. Yeah, anyway. So a lot of like 2s and 3s coming through for you already. Pile number 2 as well. Interesting. Anyway. You've got Goddess Bridget, which is the spark, my eternal flame grows brightly. When we're talking about relationships, it really does feel like this learning of what makes you you, instead of what makes us us. There's like this difference between my tribe and myself. And I feel like the spark is that spark of who you are. As an individual, you can, you know, it's fine to be an individual as well as part of the group. We're all those things and so much more. So there's something that you've learned from the past. I like the little cat in the background. It's like it's almost like the cat's like a guide, a spirit guide, and it's like, she's figuring stuff out kind of thing. It's like, or it's like, ooh, well, maybe she's got like, you know, she's figured something out. Or if it's just a cat, they're like, what have you got there? I'm gonna swat it away. The Princess of Cups, so interesting. I won't say too much about the first pile if you haven't watched that, or if you are going to watch it, either or. But the first card up here was the Princess of Pentacles, and that was touching on what externally is important to me, or what am I learning. The princesses are learning their element. This is the element of water. It's like the element of my emotions, of who I am, what makes me me. This is the fire, right? Bridget usually associated with fire, but this is the water temple oracle. So it's like she's cleansed so that she can now see, like she's holding in her hands, she's cupping water. So it's like finding that fire within the emotions and things like that. So she's learning to do that. And obviously, as you learn to do that, sometimes you'll have a sharp tongue, or, you know, you'll say something you didn't mean, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's okay, because you're learning, you're growing. Doesn't mean you should keep doing it, but, you know, you'll probably get told if you cross other people's boundaries, or maybe you've experienced that yourself and other people have crossed yours. So just know that was part of the learning. Yeah, Six of Pentacles, trying to find balance within expectations from others of myself and expectations of myself. You know, that's really important. I think this is all going to build up to the present of like literally speaking truth. You got water healing here, and so I mean, this is the Water Temple Oracle deck, so of course there's going to be water involved. But you know, she's cupping her hands with a pink rose. She's got a glass of water. She's also blue. She's holding water in her hand with fire. So it's not saying like water has to be just water. It's also the light or the fire within. It's also the love within, while also being the emotional world within. So a lot of learning in the past about who you are, what makes you you, and what influences you from external forces. But a lot of self-discovery, I feel, within connections and relationships about, I guess, what you want and what you will put up with and what makes you you. this can be kind of interesting, especially if you're like mixed race. I can just say that from my point of view, being part Māori, part, I guess, European, or Pākehā as it's called in New Zealand. So it's kind of like, you know, you're not dark enough for the dark, like, you know, for my brown people, and wasn't white enough for the white people. So it's kind of like, you know, finding, understanding who you are, and that can be a whole learning of self-love too, which is, you know, we all go through different experiences as we grow and age. But anyway, this is just kind of like what was coming through. So I'm going to clear this for the past. This just feels like a whole lot of lessons and learning, and understanding your inner emotional world, to get to where you are now. So we'll clear this, have a look at the present, and then I'll come back and we'll pull some more cards. Hello, welcome back. So we'll start with the present. We'll start now with the present. Well, not really start, we've already done your past. Let's have a look at the present. Nope. I think there was another card that wanted to come through, but it was kind of spotty, which I don't know if that makes sense, but felt like not all of the information on that card was going to be for everyone. So if it's not going to really resonate too much or kind of pull focus, then we'll keep it out. Okay. This one. So relationships presently. The song playing while I was shuffling these cards for the current section for the present relationship reading, it was touching on, it was called actually, I'll Be Your Home, which is so interesting because I'm like, does that mean you've discovered something about yourself or learning a lot about yourself, and now you're ready to open up to start including others? I'm not too sure. There's something with that, but we'll have a look at the cards so that I don't go too far off without having the information, let's say. Oh, wow, so your first card is Goddess Minerva with Intelligence. I harness my full potential. Love this for you. Especially Minerva here with this like watery amulet. Well, what do you call them? Like circlet, I think they're called. Headdress there, and then we've got the water healing. So it's a lot of like knowledge and growth. It's like wisdom has really, or lessons have really taught you a huge amount about yourself, your interaction with people, your interaction with family, and what from the past, like family and tribe, has really taught you in today. I will always say, regardless of whatever it is, that the past doesn't define who you are today. It shapes like certain aspects of yourself, but what you choose today can be vastly different from the past as well. And that's what power you have, is to shift and change the things that you want to, of course. Okay. So we've got hole in the soul. I feel like this is like a learning or an understanding of what's really important, who's really important. The hole in the soul can be like this feeling of a part of you missing or a part of you taken away. And like you can see here with like she's missing something. So it looks like her teeth, or like she's starting to take energy from others or take blood, right? Like a vampire. And I guess that's kind of like a part of their story in some sense. In some ways it's like they're eating to survive, but it's almost like they have to take away what others have so that they can continue going. And you don't want to get caught up in that drama, especially if it's you or someone else. It's starting to like look at that and not buy into that truth. That doesn't have to be the truth or your truth. I might read a little bit of that one. I think they want to make me read it now, so I'm just going to do that. Wasn't ready to read the book, but we'll have a look. Just so you know, this deck here, really beautiful. I think she's an Australian lady. Heal Yourself Oracle. Yeah, it says here, your childhood wounds are creating a hole in the soul. It says, being detached leads to profound loneliness and isolation as you are always mourning your true self. It says this card encourages you to discover your true self through learning about your childhood and mourning the abandonment and neglect you felt. So it could be, you know, we did pop up with the tribe. There could be something with the that needs to be reviewed and looked at so that you can be open and free to discover and explore in the now with regards to your relationships. This could be talking to family relationships, could be talking to relationships like romantic relationships. Take as always what resonates. Oh, I can't pick this up. There we go. Help from above. Again, this is about connection and your intuition, tapping into that good energy. This compassion and compromise is like compassion for that person who was or is still now, if you're holding on to something. And compromise is almost like compromising with your ego, compromising with your like higher self, you know, kind of like taking the steps that you feel comfortable with, not just diving deep into it with like, you know, it's like kind of screw it, just do it. This is taking mindful steps. But help from above, knowing that you are supported, knowing that you have good guidance, good teams, and also yourself, trusting yourself. It's all about self-trust, speaking your truth, all coming through. Again, this huge moon, like a lot of emotion here, a lot of internal. Oh, this is really beautiful. You've got uniqueness. I like how she has little pincers as hands. It says unique, perfect, self, and honor. Yeah, this is about you. This is all about loving self, dealing with certain things that have occurred in the past and letting them be in the past, stay in the past. It's interesting the past didn't touch too much on that, but like I think they were just telling a story so that we could get into more of it now, because there's obviously some stuff in the now that needs to be cleared, or at least needs to be recognized. Yeah, look, remembrance, talking about the past again. It says remembering, love, loss, and healing. So you're getting a lot of it. Potentially you've been through a very unique situation too. I know that this is an open read for anyone, but everyone, like number one, everyone goes through a unique experience. That's 100% true. No one goes through exact. I don't even think people who grew up in like twin situations go through the exact thing, right? They probably go through many similar, but you know, regardless, your unique experience is yours alone. So how you deal with it's got to be how you feel is right. Like I said, speak your truth. Just be honest with yourself first. Yeah, there's this energy of like bringing back balance into life. There's also an energy of like, what's the reverse of justice? It's like almost like revenge, right? Instead of doing it in a harmonious way, in a balanced way, it's like wanting to get revenge, I guess, or get even, let's say. So be mindful of that too. Because what you attract, you'll project. What you go for, you'll get, pretty much. Got the Lover's card, and you also have the Hierophant. So you've got a fair chunk of like mages here. I feel like there's certain things that have happened in the past haven't not necessarily happened because they were supposed to, but the fact of the matter is they have. And so this is an opportunity to grow within that and move beyond it. Start to bring harmony to relationships that you have, start to bring in the relationship you want, and start like this can also be like a marriage card, right? So it's like when things start getting into balance and harmonizing, that's when you can start making choices to look or find that you'll start attracting the person that'll bring like, you know, what you need in love and life. it's going to happen. Like it's almost like destined to happen. I know that can be a bit like I don't know about that, but like these are all major cards. This is like majors usually talk to you know, not having too much choice in the matter or say in the matter. But in the positive sense, it's like something that you really want, you can have. You definitely can have. It's going to take some kind of like healing though. And you've got the 10 of Wands. This 10 of Wands comes out so much. She's a busy lady. And you also have the 9 of Swords. I think this really does touch on like what you feel you're capable of and what you can do. I have full faith that everything here you'll be able to complete and do. Trust in yourself, trust in guidance as well. Trust your guides. Just know that just because things don't happen in a snap of the fingers, because we're human, we want things now. Especially these days, right? That's why we have shorts, because we can't even be bothered watching a 10-minute video now. I mean, guilty as charged as well. I'm not holier than thou by any means. But you know, like all this stuff is like quick. It doesn't really happen like that. It's like a set an intention and then start to walk or step towards that particular feeling or goal. So these two, it's like a lot of worry, or like it feels like it's almost like it's too much to handle though. You don't know what I've gone through. Absolutely, I don't know. You are the only one that knows. But would you rather keep feeling these things and sitting with them, or would you rather start to make at least small steps towards releasing, you know, start shifting it? Don't look at it like, but the end goal is so big and hard, I can't see how I can get there. Of course, because you're not going to jump from step 0 to step 100. You could go from step 1 to step 2. And you can have that which is what you want. You can build that connection, relationship. If it's like a relationship with a parent or something like that, or a child that's been shaky, let's say, for nicer words, you know, those ones you can only put in what effort you can. And if you get rejected or anything, at least you can say, or to yourself at least you can be like, I tried as best I could with the knowledge, the tools, what I had. But I trust that things will come into harmony with that in some way. If it's not today, it might be down the track. But taking the steps now will help bring into that balance. And then you can start getting what you deserve, like getting what is really out there that's kind of ready to be introduced to you. But it has to have, the past has to be kind of cleared, let's say. Has to be harmonized. Take in the shadow and the light and working with it in a way that works and integrates well with you. Okay, there's a lot here. I don't know if you've also got a past loved one that wants to kind of like come through and just say, you know, I'm supporting and I'm actually learning from you as well. They might have been in a very particular way in life, right? And they might come down at times and sit with you to actually learn from them, because I don't believe that we only learn in this life and then everything else we just know everything. We you know, end here and we start a new kind of existence of some sort, and then we learn there too. But obviously that's just my own personal belief. Take what resonates. So there's a lot here to kind of digest. Take what resonates, as always. Remember, you have full capability of what you decide is in your present. And that's really where the healing, the growth, the new connections, that's what's in the future, depending on what you do today. So what I said at the start, the introduction, that was all very true, especially to this pile. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. Hopefully this makes sense and resonates. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Otherwise, take care of yourself, be good to yourself, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, welcome pile 3 to your reading. So you've chosen the clear quartz. I've already picked up these, we're getting ready. Clear quartz with psychic abilities, enhanced intuition, what is this? Mental clarity, and magnified energy. Really interesting card coming through straight away. It wasn't one that I was expecting to pop out. The other two, I was like, very much so. in regards to relationships. It's almost like this is the psychic's message, if that makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just get some little hints, some little extra good tidbits about maybe love relationships, maybe other kinds of relationships. So we'll see what comes through. We're going to touch on the past. I have no idea about this. This is probably the pile that I had no idea on. The other two piles, I kind of had a clue, even though they didn't go in the direction that I thought. So I don't know. I never know, really. I just have like ideas of what could come up, right? But I like to tap into the flow rather than, you know, my mind making a decision of what's coming in. So anyway, let's have a look at the past for you. It's an interesting song playing at the moment. I don't think I've heard it. It's called Overtime. It's just pretty much about a lady singing about how she's doing overtime, like, you know, working late more kind of thing. I don't know how that's going to play into your past, but it's almost, that's why I was like, is this the psychic's reading? Like, you've come here for like just some information? I'm not sure. I mean, I guess everyone's coming for information, but it's kind of like you already know, you're already on the path, or you're on the right path for what you want to gain. So this is just like, let's see what this comes up with. That's why I'm like, are you doing overtime by getting more information? I don't know. I mean, I'm all for it anyway. But let's have a look. That came through nice and easy. All right. So let's take a look. This will just be the past. So there's only a few cards that I'm pulling out, and then I'll do a bigger one for the present, because that's obviously more important because it's the now. But the past can also hold keys to our present. You have faith in the past. Interesting. This, I'm gonna say, are you a psychic? Are you like a medium or card reader, whatever you want to call, like whatever label you want to put on it? It's just an interesting one. We are talking about the past though, and also number 22, so that's kind of synchronistic. Anyway, so have faith. This is really touching on the belief and confidence in self. Potentially in the past, looking or walking towards like particular goals with, you know, a lot of confidence and belief, or maybe even sometimes, in my own case, when I was younger, sometimes delusion, but it worked out somehow. But it's like, now I look back and I was like, I would never have done that now. But had I not done it like that then, I wouldn't have experienced and learned what I know now. So it's like, it's kind of like that. It's like almost like blind belief, faith, true belief in what will come in. It's interesting it's in the past though. Hopefully it's still part of that can come into the future. Remember, this is the healing as well. This is like learning about confidence and self-belief. Learning about what this really means. What does it mean to have faith? So we'll have a look at the rest. Interesting. Procrastination as well. I mean, it's kind of touching very deep on having faith and procrastination. That doesn't mean you knew exactly what you wanted, right? With having faith is like needing to believe and trust in yourself. And procrastination is kind of like leaving things or just waiting and not looking. So it's like, it's kind of like, I think there was that story where that guy is on an island, prays to God, and, you know, a boat comes and he's like, no, I pray to God to save me, so I'll wait. And then a, you know, helicopter drops by and a fishing boat pops by and all this other stuff pops in. And then he dies and he's like, why didn't you save me? And I was like, oh, I sent you this, that, and the other. And so it's also about being aware, right? It's like, well, if all this stuff was meant to come and help you, sometimes you have to like open your eyes and think about it too. So a lot here with procrastination. I'm going to quickly read the book with procrastination, because I think there's something there that they want to say that I'm not getting out. Procrastination says you need to change your tune and stop putting things off to tomorrow that you can do today. So there's that little message. Remember, this is in the past though. And have faith requires you to believe in something that is not yet evident to the naked eye. That's like self-trust of the future, because that's not real, right? The future isn't set. It's not real right now. But if I'm working towards a goal and I know I'm taking the steps today, then that dream is one step closer. You also have White Tower with resilience. You've got number 22 here too. So you've got 22 have faith and 22 Goddess Bridget. Look, I don't know. What? Also 42. But my spirit endures, and White Tower with Goddess Bridget, spark, my eternal flame grows brightly. I'm getting a lot of like learning and lessons. It's kind of like procrastinating whether I should stay in this relationship or not, procrastinating whether I should try to make a move on this person. Make a move sounds not great, but you know, like ask someone out or something. That's not bad. It's just like having a conversation, that kind of thing. You know, all this is coming through of like growing and learning. The resilience is kind of like there's kind of like a sad light on it, with like lessons learned through friendships or something like that, through relationships. I don't know. I mean, it is relationship, but I'm like, is this more of like groups of friends and things like that, that like certain people disappointing you and stuff like that? I'm not too sure. There's definitely growth here though. Yeah, because now we're getting the Three of Pentacles. So it's like the people that support and help you. And then we're finishing off with the Nine of Swords. Look, you can even see a knife in the back. So it's almost like being cheated on or backstabbed or like, you know, that kind of stuff with regards to connections. Not always great. I mean, not great at all, right? But we learn something from them. If we can't change the past, which we can't, at least we can learn something from it or grow from it in some way. Take some kind of silver lining out of the challenges. But it's an interesting one, especially with the procrastination. It's like going through challenges time after time, renewing, refreshing, learning more about yourself, learning who's an actual good friend. Because you can see here, this person's kind of like almost, I think he's falling. I don't know. It looks like he's dancing. But anyway, it looks like, you know, he's kind of dropped the box a little bit. This guy looks like he's going to fall. So it's kind of like, you know, trying to find your feet with different people or different relationships, and potentially not making decisions that were needed. It's almost like, what do you call it? Source putting you into a situation for you to stand up for yourself or say what you need to say or do what you know is right. There's a lot here. I'm going to leave that there though, because especially with this, it's kind of like causes a lot of mental stress and anguish, right? We're going to have a look at the future, or the present rather, future from here, which is now, and we'll take a look at that because there's too much. I feel like there's just too much here to like touch on. I would say look at what resonates with you with have faith, procrastination, resilience, the spark, you know, lighting that spark. The Three of Pentacles generally about like cooperation, working together. And the Nine of Swords generally about stress, anxiety, depression, those kind of things, those feelings. Okay, well, I'm going to clear this and then we'll get into your present. Hello, welcome back to the message in regards to your present. So let's grab some cards. Still not too set on knowing exactly where this reading's going, if that makes sense. The clear quartz is kind of like a harmonizer to me. It doesn't say that in the cards, but on this card it says psychic abilities, enhanced intuition, magic, mental clarity, magnified energy. But I feel like clear quartz is also a good harmonizer, balancer, getting things in tune. But hey, see what resonates with this one. Okay. The song playing now is called Lonely. It's that song that goes, I'm so lonely. Not a singer, obviously. But see how that resonates with this reading today. I want to put 3 up here. These are traditional tarot size. These ones are like oracle size, so they don't fit as many, but I really wanted to utilize the modern love tarot because I feel like that's very true when it comes to relationships, right? Although I do believe that when the, I'm going to take this one too. I do believe when the 3 of Pentacles came out, it's like there's those kind of like being able to trust who's around you and kind of picking up on the red flags, right? Those kind of things. All right, let's take a look at your present relationship reading or message. You've got Mama Kucha. It says here, I flow with life and life flows with me. Collaboration. Very much talking about that 3 of Pentacles, right? Like I said, it's like finding it. Like I like that it was like the person was dealing with other people, so it was a bit rocky. This person's dealing with whales and fish, and it's like feels much more flowy. It's like finding tribe, right? Just because you don't look like these animals, you can still be a part of that environment. It's like people. This one's like psychics, right? They traditionally they're pretty much hermits, and they don't always resonate with people all the time. They resonate with certain people. They don't mind giving messages and sharing their like specialties with others, but once that's done, it's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go back to my cats or whatever. That's definitely me anyway. So it's an interesting card, but collaboration's coming through, so you might need to step back into that that getting out there energy when it comes to relationship. We're talking about relationship, we're talking about other people. Okay. You also have cycles. Yeah, this is a new cycle for you. She's even looking at the crystal. She's like, you know this is coming up. You are very much aware of this. Okay. And you also have entrapment. It's a very interesting card. You can kind of see her looking at the, I guess, camera technically, or the painter. Almost in like a helpless but also warning kind of sense, right? It's kind of like, I'm stuck here but no one can help me type thing. It's an interesting one. I would also say based off not just off her look but off the words, like especially with collaboration, it's like you're not going to get stuck in a particular repeated session. Just because something hasn't worked out in the past doesn't mean this will be the same. So it's an interesting one, right? Entrapment with collaboration. It's like, but if I do this with this people, then I'm going to have to be friendly with them, or I'm going to have to like start to share more about myself or something like that. I guess part of that is going to be true, but it's also doesn't have to be seen as stuckness or the 8 of Swords kind of energy, mental trap, feeling mentally trapped. Don't worry so much. I've got sovereign. Yeah, definitely a sovereign person. I got ascension, transformation, visualization, and sacred. I mean, what did I say about you being the psychic? Sovereign is also kind of like queen or king kind of energy, right? The ruler of their own kind of life, and everyone is the ruler of their own life. There's certain things that government, environment, family, etc., 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 have to play, but we can always shift and change what we say, how we act, or that how we respond. That's all 100% us. Look at this, and you've got hidden, wisdom, elemental, fairy, and uncover. I was going to say it's a completely different word, but it does say fairy and uncover. Again, she's looking this way, but she's looking at the entrapment. So it's almost like doing this will help you discover and uncover more about yourself. I don't know if this is just a relationship with yourself, but maybe there's like, if you're looking at it from a relationship, a romantic relationship, or even family, it could be going deeper into the connection, or it could be going deeper into finding something out about the, your parents or something. Like maybe they weren't biological parents, which doesn't really matter too much, right? Your parents are your parents, regardless of blood. But some of the information can kind of shift and change things. Like be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I want to explore a different area of my life that I didn't realize was part of me, like a different culture or something, those kind of things. So it's like getting more out of the now with your own relationships with people or your own relationship with yourself. There's a lot here. This reading is turned into like very strange reading. I just want to say that. Got the Four of Cups. I mean, it's definitely time to move on, right? Or move forward. It's probably not like move on as in you're holding stuff in. And if you are, obviously there's something to work out there. But to me, it feels like you're not holding on to anything. You've kind of overcome something. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, I'm good now. But there's like more to be had. It's kind of like, well, the universe is going to push you into another direction. Or not into another direction, but further down the road. There's the Eight of Swords. And then we've got the Prince of Swords. So interesting. There's always been some kind of sword up here. A prince or a princess. And while the princes are a bit different from princesses, they kind of match more of the knights. They can be like... It's interesting. I was just looking at his symbols. Kind of like Aquarius, right? Anyway, which I guess is an air symbol as well, and swords are air. But anyway, this is like focused and wanting to shift some stuff. So I think there is a few things here that you want to explore emotionally. It's kind of like emotionally just bored, but mentally like trapped, I guess. It's an illusion, but it's like wandering around not feeling like the things around you are giving you what you want. So it's like you can see the cycles playing out. You're very aware or in tuned. You might be listening to this like, I'm not psychic, I'm not this, but you're very in tuned with something that's important and giving you the messages. You don't have to like say you're psychic or like do psychic things, but your intuition is telling you something. It's very clear with all this. And it's kind of like, do I believe it or not? Believe it, because it's going to give you at least some kind of advice to where you need to look into, or like where you need to go. There's no escaping this one. More swords. Look at her escaping the window. This is such an interesting reading when we're talking about relationships. I kind of want to keep pulling it back into relationships, but it's going where it's going. And it's going there probably because of past connections, past friendships, that kind of thing. But this can't be avoided, I feel. I don't know if you need to go talk to someone, a particular person, friend, an old friend, reconnect, something like that. I'm not too sure. But it's not talking about that necessarily straight away. It's just talking about like understanding and taking what's happening, because you got Ascension here, so you're kind of rising up. That could be the reason why some of the relationships you've had in the past or even present are starting to fall away, because it's like you don't vibrate at the same level. And it's not like because you're better or anything like that, or they're better. It's not about judgment. It's just about where people are at. It's hard to say rise above because it always makes it look like people above are better, and I don't like that idea. It's just like we're all on different paths, different journeys, right? And so, yeah, it's not something that can be ignored or hidden, but it is hidden. It's just like you don't have to keep it there, or it's okay to explore this if you're not hiding it yourself. Go explore it. I just don't know what that is. Is it internal to some? Yes. Is it external in a relationship or friendship, or understanding more about yourself through knowledge and information? Yes, as well. This is a high vibe time. Yeah, know that the truth will set you free. This looks like at the depths too. This putting things into the light gives you an opportunity to do something with it. If you put things in darkness, or like Let's say the government was hiding something somewhere, and then it gets brought to the light. That can be scary for the government and for people, right? Because they might start panicking depending on what it is, that kind of thing. But it also means that if it's out there and we can see it, then we can do something about it. We can start making changes and shifts and doing things about it. So that can be where this is coming from. This also can be healing the inner child. I do like the cockatoos in the background. I don't know if the person who made this is Australian, but very Australian bird. Obviously you can get them and take them around the world, but in the wild, they're definitely over here and probably not anywhere else, not to my knowledge anyway, unless they've been released over America or something, since they like to release wild animals there. But anyway, so it's an interesting one. I feel like this is a whole growth in regards to your connection. So this could be every single type of connection or relationship that you could have or will ever have. Your connection with source, your connection with your spirit guides, your connection with yourself, your connection with your higher self, connection with friends, family, romantic relationships. Take this as like maybe a big kind of broad thing. Don't be afraid of taking the next steps into the light. It's kind of like, I want to move into a better place. But then sometimes you move into that better place and you're like, oh, it doesn't feel right because it's new. When you go into a new school after being in one school for a while, it can be scary, right? But it's also fresh. It's like, it's something different. And at school, it's fine because you have to be there. You know, if you're like 8 or 9 or something, you ain't running away. You're unlikely to like escape it. But this, as an adult, and you moved into like a new spiritual kind of self, that can be scary because you're so familiar with the past, and even your abilities and your senses, let's say, can start to shift and change. So what an interesting reading. I really don't know where this is going, but that's exactly what comes through. I'm just going to pull one more card to see, what is this really touching on? Like specifically, what kind of relationships is this touching on? Okay. Something that was meant to be. You've got Goddess ran with fate. I catch a break. Catching a break is like, especially with cycles coming through, the fate card is feeling like you're being drawn to something. I would say a lot of our experience has randomness to it, or like, you know, we have choice whether we do or don't do something, but certain key points in the world are going to happen, you know, are supposed to happen, let's say. On a global scale, it could be like the fall of Rome. That was bound to happen, let's say. The beginning of Rome was maybe bound to happen. I don't know if this is true, but this is like the examples. It's like those were going to happen. It was going to get built, it was going to come down. When it got built, could move. When it came down, could move. What happens in between with the Caesars and all the other kind of crazy stuff, the slavery that they had there, all that kind of stuff, the roads they built, could have been random, let's say. Could have happened in a certain way, might not have happened. Maybe the roads will definitely be built, but they could have gone to different cities, or they could have been straighter at different places, or curved, you know, whatever. That kind of thing. And I think that's where this is coming through. So these relationships are like, this is like a key milestone in your development with regards to relationships and connections that cannot be avoided. It's going to happen in some way. I don't know if that helps or if that puts like a weight on you. Hopefully not. Don't worry about it. It's just like experience this new experience because it's what you wanted. Trust yourself. Trust your like pre-earth self that you've decided something that was key to happen that really needed to play out and come through. Okay, I'm going to leave that there before I hopefully don't scare you too much, but it's really a transformative ascension. It's growth. It's moving up. Which is amazing. So congratulations for that. Whatever you want to take with this, take it and put it into your relationships, connections, go for it. If some people have dropped off, that's what happens. If some people have turned up and you're like, I don't know about this, explore it. You don't have to stay there forever. It's okay to have a look, a peek. Okay. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.